We're having a fascinating conversation. And I know that we've talked before, and you've shared with me how tight margins are in the food services industry. So could you just explain to the viewer the challenges you face there?
Absolutely. As we've seen, not only are you trying to uh, being for the end consumer, so obviously you want to be able to keep prices low, but the margins in food manufacturing have always been low. And then when you look at competing on a global scale, so when you look at more and more products that are coming out of other nations, we have to be able to compete not only going through having all these policies and having to eat a lot of these costs because you can't always necessarily pass it on to the consumer because at that point you price yourself out of the market. So, you know, traditionally you have low margins to begin with, and now you are dealing with trying to compete on a global scale.
Yeah, and certainly you face challenges that people that are producing in other countries don't have to deal with. But I know, Shalini, you had a time when you were deciding whether you're going to expand here in Canada or expand operations in the United States. What did you decide and why?
Well, we actually made a tough decision, and we are going to be moving our growth to the US. It was something that we did a lot of research on, and it came down to surviving and being able to do a lot of the innovation that we wanted to do and grow, but be able to do it, as I said, at a price point that we can be in the market and be able to compete properly. It Price is such a huge factor in a lot of this, and that's what it primarily came down to. It was being able to survive and thrive and grow, but be able to do it effectively. And we found the US was a good environment for that. So part of our manufacturing will be moving to the US in the fall.
So Shalini, in your opinion, you've lived through this. What is the biggest hindrance to growth for companies in manufacturing here in Canada?
It is exactly what we just talked about. It is policies that are being put in place without getting appropriate input from the key stakeholders or the stakeholders that they are going to have, and I, not to be mean or rude or anything, but possibly have some agenda in it. And I feel that that's what's happening right now, that it really is the policies that we are being asked to abide by. Not to say that there shouldn't be accountability, not to say that as businesses we don't have a responsibility to the environment, to our staff, to our employees, to the community, but we also have a business to run. And in order for us to be able to succeed, there is this notion that as we succeed, the business owners get a bigger profit, or they have a bigger house, or they buy a new car. That is definitely not the case when you look at a lot of the entrepreneurs. That growth or that success goes right back into the business so they can continue to thrive. Because at the end of the day, our employees thrive when we do. So I really think that's what's been that hindrance is policies that are being put in place, and the onus is being put on business to figure it out.
Right, and there doesn't seem to be any understanding of what it is to run a business. There's no economics 101 from many of our politicians. I'm hearing from almost every manufacturing business that struggle with affordable energy. How is unaffordable energy impacting your business, Shalini? Because I know a baked goods company needs to have fuel.
Absolutely. And not only is it, like we already talked about the margins being low, but as those costs get added and added, and, especially in a manufacturing, we talk about off-peak hours or this. Well, when you start a line, when you have like continuous fry lines or continuous baking, startup for us is about 3 hours. And not only are you dealing with, getting through startup that you can, run in the middle of the night, you're also having a resource issue for people. So, it's one thing to say, well, why don't you just start a midnight shift, or why don't you do this? Or everyone just assumes that it is so simple. And like I said, I can talk about it, but when you talk to more and more businesses, and it doesn't matter how big or small that business is, we are all facing the same challenges. And anything that, takes out from that bottom line, affordable energy, with the fuel prices going up like I said, everything has gone up. Inflation has gone in terms of inflation, but just even shipping our products across the border or shipping within Canada, we've had to come up with the money to do this.
Yeah.
And where do you find it?
It is insane what we have to face. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching Canadian Innovators.